Welcome back to another episode with Brother Metamorphosis, aka Neil Frazier. He's in the corner, did the ring walk, and he's pumped and primed and ready for battle
Oh yeah,
with the knowledge of us.
yeah,
Yours truly, Lance, is going to hide his face today because I've been working. I'm still dirty. I'm not presentable, but my voice is here. If the camera happens to come on by mistake, then you're going to see a hot mess. Brother, good talking to you. We talked a few minutes before the show came on. We're on a good flow. The shows are going good,
yeah,
and I'm looking forward to this topic tonight: the age of deception, counterfeit spirits versus black people. Yeah.
yeah. And the thing is well, yeah, just want to greet you, brother. As always, always good talking to you, and everyone under the sound of my voice, I want to greet you as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, this age of deception that we're in, um, it's getting very, very interesting because now all of a sudden it's like how you've been going riding around looking for something, and then all of
Hmm.
a sudden you stop and you look over and you see it. That's how it is now. In terms of black folks, now they see you. They see your deliberate actions. They're not making excuses like we used to do,
Yes.
but we're dealing directly with them. So this is the age of deception has been something that we have been in for a long time. I'd say
Hmm.
from probably when did social media really hit? Like in the because they had like the MySpace type thing, right?
Yes, yes, yes. It eased in actually not as the present manifestation. I will say that 2005 was a pivotal year for social media because we had YouTube, right?
YouTube,
Now,
yeah,
Facebook came along probably in 2006 or 2005, but I know YouTube came around first. And it was
yeah,
something that snuck up on us because it was so tame and lame
yeah.
and birthday parties and kids and stuff, but they knew what they were doing.
They
Before
knew what
that, yeah,
they
there
were
was
doing then.
MySpace that grabbed the attention of the children, and we had Black Planet before that, but it was the model of Black Planet was hijacked actually
Oh yeah,
because it
that's the
was
one
the
I was trying
same.
to
Yeah,
think
yeah,
of.
yeah.
Yeah,
So before that, we had like blogs and message boards, like Lipstick
right.
Alley. People could, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. I go back to those times because I was a spectator,
Okay.
there in the 90s, but I was lurking around and I didn't even have a computer. I had web TV and I would browse
Right.
these different
Right.
sites. And then when I got to Florida, I got the computer, and that's how I eased in on 2001 getting on it. But we had AOL, but it wasn't as sinister as things are now, right?
Oh yeah.
But that's a whole other thing. But yeah, they eased it on us. And remember, and I know you said this, and many other people from back in the day said this, when you had your email account, right?
Uh huh.
And we had phones that didn't have internet. What did we say when we got out of work or we were home? Getting home. Oh, I gotta go home and check my text because the phone couldn't
Right.
go there, right? So
Right.
we'd go home and we get on the computer or whatever we had, and we look. Okay, I got this email, I got that email. Now, when the smartphone married the computer or the internet, and we can do this stuff on the smartphone, we didn't have to wait for that. And we have
Right.
FaceTime and make calls. So it sucked us in
Yeah.
to do
And
this.
no, go ahead, brother.
No, go ahead, I'm done for now.
No, what I was going to say is, the thing that has happened, and it happened kind of subtly, is that world came out into our social life. So,
Yes.
so everything. If you want to put up that banner again, that's a great banner, brother.
Oh, thank you. Here we go.
I'll go. I'll go into a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. Yeah, and so
Yes.
that the social media. aspect actually brought itself out into our social gatherings.
Yes.
And that is a perfect, and man, you always hit the concept right on the head with these images. And the fact is, if you're looking, a lot of times, let's say you met somebody online, right? Well, that person you met online may or may not be the actual person you meet in person.
Right. Catfishing. Exactly. Catfishing.
Yeah. So this deception is a major aspect of all of our society now. And the real thing is, if you look really closely, everybody is wearing a mask. You remember that song? You know, the whole world is a masquerade.
Yes.
By Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yep. Yep.
And they definitely was ahead of their time. But it's so we're in a state now where you don't know who you're dealing with.
That's right.
And so as we go into this, if you would put that definition of deception up there for me, Lance, I
Sure.
just want to read this because this is very important. But the entire topic today is the age of deception, counterfeit spirits versus Black people. So deception is the act of intentionally, keyword, intentionally misleading someone to accept something false as true. And see, this is the major aspect of our society now that allows, and when we talk about the counterfeit spirits, and because there is a different level of intelligence that is used by counterfeit spirits. So they're the ones, they even deceive white people because they had to deceive them first in order to get to us. Because they couldn't directly deal with our energies too strong. So they needed something in the physical realm to use as vampires and Luciferians to actually carry out this diabolical plan. But yeah, it's when you're intentionally misleading someone to accept something false as true. Also, it's a deliberate scheme or trick. And look at the words. A scheme, that means people plan. That there's a lot of planning going on with it. You can't just have a scheme if you haven't planned for it. And then you also have tricks that are used to hide the truth and gain an advantage over you. And see, this is how the counterfeit spirits are so diabolical in their thinking that what we don't seem to get is that just because we are the way we are spiritual beings having a physical experience, right? The counterfeit spirits and the people they work through are the exact opposite of what's in your nature. And see, this is the major deception that have been played on our people. But now we see the full-blown manifestation. They're not trying to hide this anymore. Now that they have you in the position they thought they had you in, then now they want to expedite the plan. This is what it's been all the time. So, and finally, deception doesn't necessarily, now this is deep, involve making a false statement, as even true statements can be deceptive. Okay. So, okay, brother, thank you.
Okay.
So the thing is what we don't really see about deception is that it is an energy that exists amongst. It can exist amongst cultures. It can exist amongst a nation. Like obviously, our nation has been set up, and so we're going to deal with this today because they're coming at our people now in all kind of twisted ways. And again,
Yes.
I just want to say I want to commend our people because they have withstood this flurry of punches. But the punches are going to continue to come. But we must continue to hold our ground and recognize what's actually going on. So we're gonna cover several topics today, and one of the main things that points that I want to bring out is that when there were no other people on this planet but melanated people, we lived according to the Sunum Bonum, which is the greater good. This is why when you look back at our ancestors, you know, they didn't even know they were poor. They didn't even know they were sharecroppers or none of that. They didn't even look at it that way, actually. But it was us when we looked back and saw this deceptive action that was being used against our people, then we knew what had been done. So, you know, before we got to the stage where we begin to take on these traits, and we're going to show today the different characteristics and the deity that you call God. We're gonna look at that as well. But when you look at, so right now they are discovering, well, they say they're discovering all these things at the quantum level or quantum computing that they're trying to frighten people about. They're frightened because they have no spiritual connection or natural connection to that. This is something that our people have always known, that we have always operated off of until this major deception was put in motion against our people.
Yes.
So the reason why they're freaking out again is because whatever they're looking at, I'll give you one example. So this is actually an experiment that was done decades ago, but it's now resurfacing, where the atoms at the quantum level, and you know this, Lance, I'm just putting this out here,
right,
for the sake of our discussion. At that level, what they realize is there's a power greater than you that you can't control. So the issue that they have with the God complex is when they run up against the real power of the creator creatrix spirit at that level, then it makes them feel like an ant, like who they really are.
Right.
That you're not this God that you have our people frightened of. And so we're going to go into that a little bit. And then we're going to talk about artificial minds and inorganic beings, because all of this is all of this is a part of the counterfeit spirit's arsenal. So again, the things that they are quote unquote discovering, which I don't know how you can discover something that's always been there, right? You just become aware, but they like to use this word discover as if they have some insight into something that we don't know. When our people, thank you, Dr. Kojo. This is what the point I want to make about the quantum level is that we never separated anything in nature from each other. We never did that. So even though you have the different disciplines like physics, chemistry, geometry, medicine, law, all of this. And Imhotep, who's the world's first multi-genius, he was a master in all of these areas. Okay, here's a man that could figure out geometrical information and physics without, all he had to do was look at something. They said that Imhotep could look at a tree and give you the breakdown of, you know, the roots and everything.
Wow.
So they don't have this ability, but they fool our people that these so-called institutions that they, oh, I went to so-and-so. Oh, I went to, really? Okay. So what is that? How is that playing out for you now? Because all things are going back to what it was in the beginning. So we kind of, this period that we're going through now is like the cocoon experience we always talk about, Lance.
Mm-hmm.
This is what it's like. But we know that there's only one set of people, or I should say culture of people, that has already gone through this cocoon experience, and now they're butterflies, but they don't know it. So what happens is, in order for them, the counterfeit spirits, to be effective, they have to work through these Luciferians and vampires here on earth to bring you down, to make you think that you're below them because they control all the resources. And then, but now the script has been flipped. So now that they see the true nature of these counterfeit spirits, they're all, oh, how could they do easily? Do you know that at war they have what they call, what's the term? When you, so there are certain people that are injured on the battlefield, but you're only going to use your resources for the people who can get back in the fight. There's a term for it. I can't think of it. Maybe somebody in the chat room, huh?
No, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Maybe
yeah, I know you know. I just, you know how we get those brain farts, but
yep.
Triage.
Right.
So it's a sort of like a triage for the billionaires or the oligarchs that now have come out of hiding, and they're putting their real plan into action. And we're looking at it now. At first, Black people were stunned, but now we see the game plan. It's the other cultures that now are getting the hits that we used to take, because we've been through that cocoon experience. But the point I wanted to make is, the only power that they can use against you, regardless of all that artificial stuff they have, is to pull you back down through that cocoon and make you and put you back in that cocoon. And so those of us who are those of them who are still in that condition, they're gonna catch hell, because you're basing all your value based on these things that you've been taught incorrectly. Yeah, but artificial minds and inorganic beings, that's something we're going to come back to as well. Active synthetic connections. So in other words, you're being taught to socialize with and interact with synthetic beings. I mean, synthetic things like illusions.
Right.
And these and this artificial mind that has been created, and these inorganic beings that we're dealing with, they have a whole different agenda than because people still looking at like this is still the world we lived in just 5 years ago. It's not.
Yep.
So let's talk about creator versus God real quick, because the one thing that, again, our people have to recognize is you're not worshiping the same God that these people talk about. I don't
That's
know
right.
why. I don't know why we live in a denial, or they live in a denial of reality about this. Okay, where they have created a whole false reality, but you still are trapped, almost like in a matrix. You still are trapped there.
That's right.
So they manipulate reality, but here's the difference between the real creator. I was mentioning earlier. Now they're all scared because now they see a power that they know they can't control. When they go to the quantum level, you can manipulate everything but quantum. You can't manipulate that. So this is why they're so frightened. Oh, this is scary. Every time you look around, oh, CERN just discovered something. Really? Oh, okay, good. Yeah, good luck with that. But the real creator and true love is the equitable distribution of resources. The resource that was put here on earth for us. A God, when you're dealing with a God system, then you're dealing with the inequitable distribution of wealth. And see, this is the major difference. And all of this falls under these inorganic beings, this artificial mind that's been created. Again, they do this with social media as well. They create this artificial being that you think you are. But, you know, the reality is that you're not. So when we say that, of course, that other picture, Lance, I sent you with the chair, would you put that up for a minute?
Sure.
Okay, so what we're going to do is, thank you. What we're going to do is we're going to get a real look at how the entities on this board you're looking at, what they're looking at.
Let me step away for 3 minutes. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go ahead,
So
Lance.
continue on, brother.
Yeah, I got what I need.
Okay.
So when you look at this situation right here, you're looking at a true picture of what they're looking at. Whereas we have to fight just to figure out how we're going to eat, how we're going to pay rent, how we're going to pay mortgage, how we're going to pay car note. These are things. So what they did was they pulled the rug from under everybody. They have created an atmosphere of chaos on purpose. So while we're looking at the survival things, they're looking at how they can overtake the world so that they can now have complete domination. And the counterfeit spirits are the ones that's driving them to do this. So one of the areas that they come at, and we see this and we know this, and we're going to talk about history today. Again, we're going to go into it because it's going to expose this plan that they have against our people. Okay, because keep in mind that you're talking about 7 or 8% of the total global population. Okay, and that the 1% comes out of that. So for the most part, 92% of the globe belong to people of color. Okay, so Black history is the most significant history of America. That cannot be denied. And so we're not just talking about, well, let me preface that. Black history is the most significant history of the world. And I remember this story when what's his name? They have the Institute in Harlem, and they were telling this story when John Henry Clark was a young man, Arthur Schomburg, and he went to him and he said, "I want to know the history of Black people right now. How can I learn that?" And he said, "Sit down, son." He said, "What you're calling Black history are the missing pages of world history." And he said, "You cannot learn Black history until you learn European history. And after you learn European history, you come back to the Schomburg Institute, and then I'll be able to show you the true world history." So this is one of the reasons why they cut us off from our brothers and sisters in the diaspora and in the motherland. This is the primary reason, because this is where your power, your real power is. And they isolate you here. See? And so these beings that you're dealing with, they're very cunning and deceptive. We've already looked at the fact that their primary purpose is to make a lie the truth. And they don't care whether you know they're lying or not, because they have ways of deceiving you that you don't really, fully comprehend yet. But we're getting there. We're getting there. I've seen some things, some signs that's very encouraging with our people, with the bait and switch. And they're going to implode. But let's look at one of the real reasons why. And so when we say Black history, even though we're going to talk about American Black history, because we need to go back to this. And I said this on one of the videos, that somehow people thought when they were saying "Make America Great Again," everybody was trying to figure out, well, what period of history are you talking about? But people did not realize that they talking about manifest destiny way back then, when it was only white people, and it was their God-given destiny to kill 56 million people and move west. They make that very clear. And so when you're talking about trying to wipe out American here, so when we look at this global, because here again, the entities, the pieces you see on this board, when they look at the world, this is what they see. When they look at America, this is what they see. Okay. They see almost to like a Monopoly game. There's a global game that's like Monopoly. I forgot what it's called, but it's the same concept. So while our people are fighting against other people of culture, of color, and other cultures, or so-called cultures, because you're Black. I don't care what you call yourself. Okay, you're Black. Okay, when you get down to the basic biological level, you're Black. And all you have to do is study Dr. Richard King, who's a medical doctor, about the Black dot that they know exists, but you don't know exists, but they know. So when they look at, this is how they look, and they go all over the world, because they know that as long as they keep you in America looking at all these problems that they're created, right? And the other terminology I want to use, what they're doing with what the white middle class, why they decimated them, was it's a pan-European war. They've always had this spirit, but if you don't have the resources they have, you're just a casualty of war. So if the bottom line is, if they can destroy Black culture, they'll take down as many of their people as they need to in order to do that. And see, this is again the game that have been played on white people that they don't realize. A lot of them are now. A lot of them are realizing now, but it's too late. It's way too late. You've given away your power to people who don't really view you as, somebody worthy of, if you can fire 300,000 people. Now, when we talk about, and this is a good example of the artificial, inorganic beings and artificial mind. They have no. In fact, I heard this individual, the apartheid Nazi guy, say that one of the weaknesses of America is empathy. But yet you crying now like a little, you know what? I ain't gonna say it. But that is one of the weaknesses. Oh, you said of Western civilization. So these are all things that this is the mentality that they have. While we still trying to kumbaya with them, they have moved way beyond that. Okay, they have moved way beyond that, and we have to look at the reality of where we're at now. But let's just talk a little bit. Let's just cover a little bit of American history so we can be clear about something. Because it doesn't matter how much you can't hide the truth. And so it doesn't matter how much you try to do this, you can't. So before we dib and dab a little bit into this right here, let's go back to what we were talking about in terms of the New World Order and the manifest destiny, because this is what they went back to. And see, this is what people don't realize. Back to where white people, you couldn't even go in the same restrooms they go in. You couldn't go in their restaurants. This is what they mean by that. So, and this was, I've said this before, the inspiration behind white supremacy and Nazism. So I want to read this again so we'll be clear about where we're at, not, living in a false reality.
Yes.
Because we're here. Okay. So manifest destiny to them was the divine providence of white people to take indigenous lands. Just like how they look at Gaza now. Or a lot of people don't know this, but Elon Musk's grandfather, okay, he owned a tech company in Canada. He was one of the first ones to kind of like use technology to kind of, use it as a business model. And what most people don't know is that he wanted Greenland, Canada, and the United States to become tech partners. So what's the rhetoric you hear now? We're going to buy Greenland. We're going to make Canada the 51st state. We're going to buy Panama. And see, that global chess game I showed you is all a part of this now. So in their feudalism system, the serfs and the peasants, they have eliminated the knight class. Okay, if you're not a lord or a king, you don't have no resources. If you're just a knight, somebody that's carried out, so they can cut whatever department you are in. They can eliminate that. They can eliminate 50,000 people from one job and not even blink. This is the reason. And so these counterfeit spirits that hate black people, that talk to them, tell them to do this stuff because they know who is going to hurt first. We'll recover, but black people have to seriously start thinking about the barter system again. Okay, but that's a talk for another day. But I just wanna make this point clear, that manifest destiny, or their divine providence of white people to take indigenous lands, and Americans and their institutions were virtuous. This is what the manifest destiny, this is what it meant to them, that Americans and their institutions were virtuous. Okay, that it was the moral mission of the United States, well, mainly white people at that time, to spread their institutions all over the country, all over America. And so this is what inspired Hitler. He talked about it a lot.
Technically,
the other thing too is that they believe that God had given them permission to do this.
Remember,
so one of the things I want to point out here, I want to point out the fact that these are the things these are all of the attacks
several bedrooms
that have been perpetrated against our people since 1619. Since they want to play dummy, we're going to point out all of these things so that we can look directly at this Project 2025 and look at the Luciferians and how they have always carried out this plan from the inception of America.
We're going to get solar water heaters.
And why we're going to bring this to the forefront to show you that we know our own history, even if you don't put it in the history books. So from 1619 to 1865, they had free labor. Okay, this is a very important point.
Not expensive, I think yes, it is, but it's a lot of.
Hey, brother, we can hear your conversation.
Okay. I'm giving a message.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
I was talking low. I said it might be a hot mic. I was talking to my friend Tyrone.
Yeah. It's a hot mic, but it's fine. It's no problem. I just wanted to make you aware.
Yeah. Oh no, I wouldn't be talking about nothing nasty.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So from 1619 to 1865, they got free labor. So no matter what kind of spin you put on this, we have the record here. So that meant you were able to build America during this period without ever compensating our people for this. From 1910 to 1997, Black farmers lost 90% of their land. So that's how they got the land for the Homestead Act. When Europeans came here, and they were automatically given, 100 acres of land, of our Black farmers' land. So over an 87-year period, Black farmers lost 90% of their land, which is $326 billion today. So, regardless to how whatever picture you're trying to paint of Black people, regardless to how you're trying to make us suffer through pain and suffering, through whatever type of psychological ploy you're using, it won't work. So the counterfeit spirits are constantly showing them different areas to try to plug us at. Okay, you didn't hit them hard enough there. Let's hit them here. Okay, oh, that gut punched in there. Well, let's hit them in the mouth. Let them taste some of their own blood. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, let's make them have some kind of mental anguish. Let's make them feel inferior. So all of these things are going on, while at the same time, we're looking at real history and how you became who you are. So it doesn't matter what you tell other people. We know the truth. That's why we put it on video so our people will know the truth. So then we look at the situation where every other nation of people that you have wronged, you have compensated them. Even the ones that you haven't wronged, you have compensated. The Japanese, which you had in internment camps, and up here in these mountains over the Golden Gate Bridge, I've been in those caves where you held them. You gave them $1.6 billion. Holocaust survivors, $89 billion from Germany. Okay, and then 300, this is really crazy. $300 was paid to slave owners after so-called emancipation because of the property that they were losing. Now, how sick is that? Then we had the legacy of Jim Crow, redlining, and government home ownership, which between 1934 and 1968, 98% of all government loans went to white families. I'm going to say that again. So, you can deceive people, play these little games that you do, all this other stuff. But we have the records, your own records. Through 1934 and 1968. Get this, because they always talk about, oh, well, black folks are, welfare recipients and receiving housing vouchers. Really? Okay, so let's look at the truth. Between 1934 and 1968, 98% of all government loans went to white families, which is over $100 million. $100 million. And during that time, that was a lot of money. And this is where one of the sources that generational wealth has trickled down to them today. From this one fact, in which there are many factors, but just this one factor here. So what happened was, after they burned down all our cities, put all our cities underwater, torched and killed and bombed black churches and done all this devilish stuff, and our people still overcame. And so they said, oh, well, we got to come up with something else. So between 1950 and the 1960s, they came up with a plan that they call urban renewal, which was a plan to erase black neighborhoods. And so they started criminalizing blacks during this time with mass incarceration and predatory lending. So when we look at this free labor that they had from 1619 until 1865, and you adjust this for inflation, hope y'all sitting down today, there's $130 trillion in labor. Okay, so the real fact of the matter is, okay, that the real reason they want to destroy Black history, and they think that by shutting down the Department of Education, and that's going to hide it. Actually, that's probably going to open up more avenues, because at the state level now, you can negotiate more than negotiating with the federal government, because now you have to deal with your constituents that are right there in your face. There's no way, just like the town hall they're running from. You can't run from this, the people in your state. So when Black folks are going to have to be the one, okay, behind this, because we know the real history of America. So $130 trillion in labor. That has not been done and never will be done anywhere in world history. This is the greatest history in terms of wealth accumulation in world history. Okay, other than Mansa Musa, that was generated by black people. You say whatever the hell you want. This is a fact. Also, we look at the fact that if there's a $10 trillion loss in economic opportunities in the black community just from systemic racism. Okay. So when you look at education, so what the counterfeit spirits really want to do with education, and this is why we were talking about in one of the videos last we did, is that it's very dangerous to have someone that grew up in apartheid that have all this fiat that has the ear of the president of the United States. So now we can see the fruits of this. This is why, nobody wanted Elon Musk to influence the president of the United States. Because when somebody has that type of financial ability to dictate certain things, look at, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. But the other thing that's going to happen is, while they want it at the state level, this is the flip side. This is why they're really doing it. Why the counterfeit spirits, they think that this is going to destroy black education. But now this gives us an opportunity now to step up and teach our own children the truth. And if you don't do that, there's nobody else's fault but yours. Okay, so this blame, we're out of the cocoon. We don't need to blame nobody anymore. Let's be butterflies. We have this ability. We've already shown what we can do when we work together collectively. So don't be deceived. All right. So this is what they want with education. They want underserved schools. They don't want to have the burden of feeding your children in school, or they don't want, even though you're still paying taxes, they don't want that tax money to go to you having better schools and having updated equipment so our children can learn how to code to fight against all of the plans that they know they have for our people. And so when Dr. Amos Wilson when he talked about the school to prison pipeline, this is what he was talking about. And see, all we have to do is go back and look at what our own scholars taught us about this system, because all of them had to go through this system in order to help us. And this is something else we don't seem to comprehend. There's a river. You can't disassociate because these crazy vampires telling you all this stuff. You cannot disassociate yourself from this. This is who we are. You should be proud. Everybody else is proud of who they are. What's your problem? Okay. So now they're not holding back now. So this is one of the first ripple effects that's going to happen to the black community because we're not organized. Okay. So what's going to happen is we're going to have underserved schools, or there's going to be a situation where our children, well, I don't know about that because now when they bring back this segregation law, we'll have to see how that plays out. But the schools where our children, if we maintain them in our neighborhood, okay, then we're going to have to step up and meet the needs that they have. We can no longer depend on other people to meet these needs. That's not going to happen. They already showed you that they're pulling back the money from, even though this is your money, your taxpayers' money, they're telling you that they're not going to fund the Department of Education that funds a lot of low income areas. The healthcare industry, there's a higher mortality rate amongst, we know this, children, amongst Black children. This is not by, this is no mistake. Okay. And so we know from the reports of the CDC that they're connected with what's the lady that's Planned Parenthood. So we know that they take aborted fetuses because there's nothing stronger than pure melanin at the infantile level. And we know this because even in biology, the melanated egg and the melanated womb, the melanated seed and the melanated egg is the one that when there's a melanin explosion when they meet. And you can't even form life. If you look at a fetus in the first 30 to 35 days, their eyes are black, like this, like black. That's because that's pure melanin in them. Okay. That's why it's like that. That's the black dot that Richard King was talking about. So we're not going to allow your insecurity and inferiority. I don't care if you call you white supremacists or not. We're not going to let you get away with trying to destroy our people's history or our children's future. The other thing that's going on now with this New World Order, which is in full effect, is that you're not included. Okay, you're not included in this. And the reason you're not included is because they know that even if you had a drop of water and they had a river, that advantage is only going to last for a certain amount of time. Okay, that's how deep it is. They know that the more, if you just have a crumb, that you're going to manifest something from that. They know this already. That's what they're really frightened of. But at the same time, they know that you don't have anywhere to grow food. So all of these things, you're dealing with a type of intelligence that you have no comprehension of. And that is because they got you doing this. So you're looking, every time you look at that illusion that they have you in, or that matrix, then your pineal gland closes. That's what happens. So our people, the impossible task that was set before our people, and the absolute courage that it took for our people and our ancestors to produce what they produce is something too that's still in their genetic memory bank. They know what our people are capable of doing. So again, we're looking at a situation where moving into the future or the present right now is we've got to figure out what the next step is in terms of how we're going to combat this assault on, it's like the destruction of Black civilization 2.0. Because make no mistake about it, all right, we are going to go through a period of time where there is going to be a lot of anguish in our community. And the only reason it's going to be that way is because we still judge and value each other off of this system. Okay? Whereas you can see somebody that look like homeless, they're homeless, and that's a goddamn angel, or what you know as an angel. That's an enlightened being. But because you have been taught that somebody have to have a Gucci bag or have on, diamonds or whatever the system has given value that you place over your people, that's going to be our downfall. And until we actually pivot out of this mentality, we're always going to be stuck there. And there are some, I'm going to say it, there is some dark days coming. And again, it's how you look at it. Because remember, you've been taught in reverse. Everything that has some type of power and influence on nature comes out of darkness. Everything. So it stands to reason that now we're going to go through a little dark period. And then in order for us to manifest out of this cocoon that they have put our people back in. Not everybody, but they have, and that's because we depend on materialism. We depend on, in order for us to feel, unless you've done several videos on this, in order for us to feel any type of self-worth, this is how deep this deception is on us, where we can't look in the mirror and see that we're the real God and goddesses that they pretend to be.
Yes.
Okay. So to the extent that you can start to see yourself in this light, you're always going to be affected by every little thing they do. So if you want to spend your whole day, trying to deflect trash, then that's on you. Okay. We don't have time to let them do what they're going to do. We need to start looking at using some of Lance's analogies. We need to start looking in that tool bag and seeing, okay, that's a hammer, that's a screwdriver, those are the nails. And each one of us represent one of those tools.
It has a purpose, a specific
purpose. It has
purpose.
its purpose.
Yes. But you know what, Neil, so many of us, and I'm going to say it, melanated people, black folks, copper colored people, whatever you want to say, here we are as a great tool in the overall scheme of the construction of our world. And many of us as a tool are angry at the use of the next tool. Like, you have a purpose that you're here for, and you're mad at the purpose that the next person's here for, but you can't do it on your own because you need that brother, sister tool that's in the box with you to complete the task of constructing the home or the structure of the building. And so we render ourselves useless because while we should be utilized as the tool in the time that we have out the box, we peeking over at the next tool. Look at that hammer over there. Who that hammer think he is? And a screwdriver, like, you right.
There you go.
Be all that.
There you go.
And some of us as tools are not ready to be used yet because the construction may not be at that phase. And that's why I talk about it so much.
Okay.
Because you need the foundation, you need the walls before you can put in a window, you need the walls up before you can run the electricity, you need the walls up before you do the plumbing, and you need the walls up before you can put on the roof. Everything happens at this time. When people who still celebrate that Thanksgiving, whatever, look, when you're making that meal, you don't put the salad together first. You leave it separate to last because it'll get soggy with the dressing. For those who eat meat, you cook that thing for a long time. We know it takes a quick time to make the rice. You can't put all the ingredients in the oven at the same time and cook them all at the same time because something's going to be soggy, something's going to be messed up. You have to be strategic with it. And we have to understand that we are to move in a strategic way. And lots of times we don't have the wisdom to understand that we all can't be at the center, on the pulpit, at the forefront, right? I love when you come on because I enjoy when you come and speak and the experience and knowledge that you bring. Lots of times I'm up at night, repetitiously making banners, creating the links, writing
Yeah.
out stuff,
Oh yeah,
distributing
that
it
takes a
across
lot of work.
tablets. Whatever you see of me online, it's nothing compared to the behind the scenes thing. So
Right.
some people will say, oh, you trying to get all the attention. So you ain't hardly look. I was up until 3:30 last night.
Mm-hmm.
We have some guys here that are staying here for the next week to complete some work. That's what you heard me talking about. I was talking about the house,
Yeah.
rooms and stuff. And they were gonna be here from 6 in the morning. I gave up on thinking about having 8 hours of sleep. And when I woke up, we had to get more materials. But I didn't have enough cash to give them and say, get it. I had to go cross town to the ATM on 2.5 hours of sleep. So
Wow.
before, that's why I sent you the link for the show so late, because I laid down for a little while. And I woke up in a panic. I said, oh man, I got 45 minutes to set this thing up. So I
Yeah.
hit the banner, I hit this, I did that, I did all this stuff, and here we are. And I'm still tired, but I'm gonna do two
I
things
believe
tonight.
it.
We're gonna freestyle tonight with two more banners.
Oh,
Then I'll
okay.
sleep. Now I gotta get up in the morning and clean the studio because I have some guests coming by
Okay.
tomorrow. We're gonna do some things here and speculate on certain things that I want to have done. And it's not easy. And I love it though. I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
I know who I am in the toolbox.
Exactly. Exactly. And that is the most critical because the major. So, like we were saying one time before, why would the screwdriver not be worrying about screws than worrying about the hammer and nails? What sense does that make? Because the only thing you can do is get in the way. How about using? I'll use another. I'll use another analogy from nature. Um, you cannot grow anything without at least these three elements: uh, sunshine, vitamin D, rain or water in the ground, and fertile soil. And you still got to plant it in fertile soil. So this is a lesson our people knew way back before 100,000 years ago. Okay, so when you either a lack of either one of those elements will not produce or manifest or germinate anything. So nature, even making you still need an egg and a sperm. Okay, you still have to. So anything that you accomplish in life, there has to be another component or other components. It's not built. So if the arm one day say, well, I'm tired, let the legs do my work. What's going to happen? Ain't nothing going to get done that you need your arms to get done with. So, and if the arms said, well, if the legs say, well, let the arms take you where you got to go, what you think gonna happen? You ain't going nowhere. That's so right. It's just it's really just our mentality, the way that we, again, they've done a number on our people, because I was making a point about this dark period that's coming, and that period is coming simply because of things outside of our control. But at the same time, it's the way that we respond to it. So it doesn't matter what happens to you, is how you respond to it.
Right.
Now, as long as you don't put your hands on me, we cool.
Exactly.
But you can say, you say whatever you want. I prefer you telling me how you really feel. I don't want you deceiving me. Because what's going to happen is, every time you connect with someone, there's a transference of energy and there's a receptive of energy.
That's right.
You can't, and you don't control that that transference of energy. So, but whatever that transference is, you have to now take it and do something with it. And what they have taught our people is to get emotional, to get angry, and then get discombobulated. Whereas now we have lost the main goal for what we're supposed to be focusing on. And this is what they're trying to do right now, because again, Black folks are waking up. And so you can destroy as much stuff as you want to. That's not going to hurt our people, man. I know. There's nothing that can happen to our people now that we haven't already been through, brother.
Exactly.
There's nothing that can happen.
Exactly. They played their hand already.
Yeah,
they've shown us all their moves. They've shown us their intention, even behind the puppy dog smile. And we have to stop looking at them as though there's some almighty whatever. They have us wired. They had their hands under the hood of our vehicle for so long that we're mentally rewired. It's like that attack dog that the owner of the dog received as a puppy, right? And so the owner, I hate to say owner, but the owner put the fear of God inside that puppy when it was so small. So now that puppy grew up to be a killer of a pit bull or a Rottweiler. In the back of its mind, it's still fearful of that owner who now is timid compared to the dog and much older and can't handle it. But because the dog's mind is wired to fear the owner, it's always going to be that way. But with everybody else, that dog is Billy Badass. So that's how they have us wired, because, you can't do that. You can't go against them. You're going to get in trouble, whatever. And they've been doing what they do to us. And this is why we're defiant to when they flex on us and we're supposed to bow down on our knees, and we're defiant, like, no, you don't have no power over me. I'm not the puppy no more.
That's
they
right.
have to snuff us and get rid of us, because through that strength of standing up, everybody else will say, hey, wait a second. He's right. You don't have no power over that dog no more. You don't have no power over all of us. And so whether we stay in America or leave America, or we see the world in a global sense, that we can do business, we can move here, we can live better, we can get from under having their knee on our neck. They don't like that. And you see how the governments of the world are moving, and it always involves us, whether we like it or not. When you see that news, you don't mention us a lot, because we are the resource.
Exactly.
We are the resource. And just like Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso, kicked the French out, made his own vehicles, building up the Air Force and the Navy.
There you go.
Manning their own gold, and they're going to share the wealth of that country, which is right above Ghana, with the people, just like Muammar Gaddafi did in Libya before they had to spear him and kill him. And he wants to win United Africa, and he's young. So that's that. But you'll never hear about that on CNN. You'll never hear about that on Fox News, headline news, because it will give us strength wherever we are.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And think about the fact that if I got 98% of the world's resources, which you have stolen from Africa, from Akibalon, and it's a shame before whatever God you say you worship. I guess it's not a shame, because they're bigoted and anti-Black. For you to take all of the resources out of Akibalon and then act like you've done so much. When those people, did I tell you about, I don't think I told you this, Lance. I was watching a show because now, since you moved to Africa, I watch a lot more shows out of, the motherland. So I saw this show, they were talking about Kenya.
Yeah.
Like these brothers had gone to school. One of them became a mathematician. They went into the tech industry, and they wanted to come back home to kind of, build their own land, right? So they asked, I'm not laughing. This is not funny. They asked them, why were they so, why did they despise the tech business so bad when people in America, they build techies up like that's one of the top industries to be in.
Right. Right.
And they looked at her, this white lady that was interviewing them, they looked at her, they said, we make $2 a day, and that's gross. That's before taxes. I almost fell out of my chair.
Wow.
Now you look, I'm looking at these young, smart-looking African people, and he's saying they pay. And on top of that, not only that, they have to get counseling. They have to get what is it? Therapeutic counseling, or go to therapy, because they have to deal with all of the garbage that they hire them to track and, do what they have to do or edit it or whatever. And so one of the guys that was married, young guy, said, it's gotten to a point, he said, that even the people that come there that they send, they're not real therapists. He's like, we don't know who they are, but they're not addressing the issues we deal with. Because when you talk about spending 8 to 10 hours and all you're looking at is trash and garbage, that's going to have an effect on you. And he was saying, I used to like sex with my wife. He said, I hate it now. Why? Because a large amount of his work is dealing with pornography or things that, they have to clean up that's inappropriate.
Wow.
And he was saying, this is what they, and he was saying that, it was a group of them, the females too. She was like, well, how is it that, so when they show them the job titles, that's another thing they use to deceive our people, titles, right? Call center agent, it's a good sounding, like responsible type of sounding job, right?
Yes.
So when he said that, I was dumbfounded. I didn't know I know what they do to the migrants, where they have them in hot fields all day for $4 an hour. I know that. But that's how they were able to keep their profits. See, the system of slavery, the plantation system, has never really stopped. They just allowed other people to do it. So this system has been very, very successful for them because they can profit off of this in a way that they couldn't if they hired Americans ain't gonna do it, first of all. That's why they're crying now about Nebraska. But at the end of the day, we see, like they say, the last shall be first and the first shall be last. You see a lot of now the things that what's the saying they say? Be careful what you wish for me, because it's coming back at you. It's like a boomerang.
That's right.
And so the fact that you are dealing with the true Creator's children, it, these counterfeit spirits got you doing so much wicked and devilish and evil stuff. You can't even look at human beings anymore as human beings. They don't. I saw a guy that was doing an interview. I was somebody. He was a former CIA official. He said they don't like human beings. I don't know the day he was talking about. He said they don't like human beings, and they don't. He said they don't like people, and death is what they prefer.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is a guy that worked for the CIA in a high up position or whatever before, and so he had to leave the country. Because the thing is they're always, so it's just like when something happens, the residue or the energy of that thing never dies.
Right.
The act of it might be old, but the energy of that is still alive. And so what they learn from these counterfeit spirits is that they can conjure up the things that they did, the diabolical things they did 200 years ago.
Mm-hmm. But remember,
and I told you I learned this from David Copperfield, and I learned this from this lady that was a clairvoyant, and I told you that story several times. So they can actually they can tap into this energy field, okay, that they have. These counterfeit spirits, they can tap into this field, okay, because the real warfare again is against people with an open pineal gland. That is who they fear, because we're the only ones that have the power to stop them.
But remember that from what I see in nature, right? Because when I go out in the yard and sit down and have an open mind and watch the ants, I watch the animals, I watch the birds, things come to me. That's the best teacher. We've all known, I'm not picking on down south now. We've all known that guy that was old, who didn't have hardly any teeth, and a second grade education, but he was a spiritually wise man, and he spent time out in nature. And he'll tell you things, and he may mess up the words a little bit, but it's pure wisdom. And because of his time away from the man-made, confused, engineered world, he can see through things. See? And looking at nature, it's perfectly balanced. We're not talking about what man has done to try to mess things up, right?
Right.
Just pure nature. It's balanced. So when you have these injustices that go on past, present, and future, something's hanging in the air. And these wicked people know that the weight of justice is hanging not in their favor. So they have to do all they can, keep us ignorant, and play around with these spiritual energies to try to pull things their way. That's why they don't want us to be on a higher vibration. This is why they have social media out there so much with the decadence, and those of us with a strong mind can keep ourselves on the right path and not get distracted. Because I tell you, and I'll be very honest, the more focused I am, is the more butts and thongs and breasts that they send to me on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube.
Wow.
See? Yeah. Now, if you notice when you're on more in your day, when you feel that click, meaning that when you're putting the office furniture together and you don't use the instructions, but you know you can put it together and it clicks just right. But when you wake up and you're on, you know it. I mean, most days we hope to be on, but when your cell phone is at 100%, you know, and when you're at 100%, maybe most times you're 93, 95, whatever. But when you say, listen, I'm attacking righteously this day and we're going to get some stuff done. That's when those attacks on your mind, your body, your spirit come, because those satanic energies, I'll say it that way, we can use different words, they see your
same thing.
And they don't want you to have the momentum righteously to get the righteous things done that you have to get done for yourself, your family, and what's in line with creation. So they're going to come after you. They're not going to bother the lion in the corner who peed up his pants and maybe need some depends. You know what I mean? They got him already.
Yeah.
Those brothers about to shoot each other and kill each other. And gangs. He got them already. So they don't. They appear to have a happy life. Why are they sitting on the curb with piss in his pants? He's smiling. Didn't even have breakfast yet, but he had a whole bottle of vodka. Those energies have him already. When you're not defeated and you're on fire and you can see things clear, and you have that gift of discernment, and you know what's around the corner coming because you clicked in, you're going to get attacked more than anything else, and you expect it, but be ready for it, because there's nothing that can come at you that you can't deal with. Today, early when I went out, everything that wanted to happen happened. I came home, had a nice plate of food, got up in the tablecloth, pulled, my whole plate fell on the ground.
Wow. Oh my God.
And I was like, I must be winning. I must be winning. I was on
What's
the
the
road
question?
waiting for the van the other day and stepped to go to the van and a piece of wood went right into my foot.
Whoa.
I said, this is going to be a good day. I'm going to
Yeah,
be productive. I'm not going to
exactly.
sit here and get mad at the moment. You look
Yeah.
at the overall. You're being attacked because good stuff is waiting for you. And I speak that in my day. I'm
Yes.
going to shut up, man. I'm hyped. You got me hyped. You
No.
did this to me, brother.
No, shut up for what? No, you're absolutely right. So that's what I was talking about when I said about the dark period that we're going to experience simply because of the onslaught of weapons coming at our people. But once those weapons come and now we're still standing, and like, oh God, what are we gonna do? It's going to have them running for the hills. But
Yeah, but that's
nothing,
confirmation. The
huh?
attacks are confirmation.
Yes, absolutely.
Because the evil energies can see your blessings coming
Yeah,
long before sometimes you can.
yeah, they
They
can
know
see
it's
it.
coming.
Yeah, they know it's coming, and so they know it's coming, but they're trying to keep us from knowing it's coming.
Right, right.
But when you hear a lot of our people now talking, and not just us, they are aware now of what these Luciferians are doing. They are fully well. You ain't got no choice to be aware if you fired from your job that
It's
you've been,
obvious now. They're not even hiding it.
huh?
It's obvious now. They're not even hiding it.
They're
They're
not
not even
even
trying to
hiding.
hide it.
They're not trying to hide it anymore.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and
And they just keep coming with it. I won't
yeah,
say her name, but she sent me, there's nothing to be ashamed about. I'm just saying, she sent me a book cover.
uh,
And on the book cover, it had a, a father and another man next to each other. And one of the men looked like he'd been constipated for the last 3 years. His
damn.
stomach was huge, but he was holding his stomach.
What?
And the cover of the book, which was made for children, is In My Daddy's Belly. Two men, one of them
Come on,
pregnant.
man! You got to be kidding me.
I'm going to see if I can switch this over and upload this.
Okay.
You know, they
In
don't
my
stop. But you
in
can't
my
say
dad.
nothing about that. You can't say
Yes.
you supposed to sit there and submit and act like it's normal. Well, that's why
Say
I
that.
always do
Say that
shadow
statement
ban
again. The
and
name of
not.
the book. What's the name of the book
Let
again?
me see. I'm gonna take this photo
Okay.
and I'm gonna get this up on the program so you can
You said in my
see
daddy's belly.
In My Daddy's Belly.
Oh my God.
Look, look at that. Look how you break it down. I'm gonna show it to you now.
Okay.
Take a few seconds. But this is something that a man and a woman, right? When they're
Uh,
in love and they're committed, and you the man, and you laying down next to your wife, and you cuddling up watching TV or something, had a nice meal, and she's pregnant, and you're rubbing her stomach, and she says to you, "I have your baby in my belly." That's a beautiful thing
mm,
because of the righteous intimacy. And baby, you carrying my baby, you carrying my child. It don't get no better than that. But they don't like to see the right. I've been using righteous. I use it all the time, right? The
mm,
proper edifying in line with nature and in line with the God force ways that we can talk, and they're envious of that. That's why they want to emulate everything we have. You see what I mean? And
absolutely.
they take the beautiful act of making love, which has an element and sparks of righteous lust. Because when you're with your woman as a man, you ain't thinking about the stock market. It's not turning you on. You look at the beautiful form of her body and how good it feels. But she's someone you can trust and love. And when you hit the peak of your activities of calisthenics in the bedroom, and y'all talk, you're talking, baby, here's our child, it's coming. Your legs are wide open, right? I can talk like this because it's a righteous thing because the God force made this.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful transaction. But they made it nasty. They made it filthy. They made it just, I'm going to tear that up. I'm going to rock your world. I'm going to dig your guts out. Like we going to war. Like we going to war.
That's crazy.
You're supposed to protect that woman and love that woman and make sure she's sheltered and she's precious. She's bringing on the next generations, and you're going to make it nasty? No, it's beautiful, baby. I'm coming. Baby, let it flow. Here comes our baby. Oh my God. Do you know how that fit? Emotionally and mentally, they didn't want you to have that.
Right.
And I'm going to talk like that on the righteous side.
Right.
And you lay it together and you hold each other, and it felt so good, but it's more the soul ties that are good. And we talk online about soul ties. I've talked about it and the bad side of it, because when you get with somebody you're not supposed to get with because you chose them out of lust, and then you try to make it work and it can't work, you still got a soul tie that you got to burn off. But soul ties are good.
Mm-hmm.
When you're with the right person, you want to make more soul
with the
ties.
right person. Yeah.
That's right. Because you'll be connected.
Yeah.
Even when you're too much older and things don't work as much, and to hold each other in the bed is orgasmic, and you ain't swinging from the ceiling no more. But your children, all that you've created, you have a soul tie. This is why the mother who's laying in the bed at night, maybe the father's at work late, and the son gets in a car accident, that mother jumps up and grabs the chest. Oh, something's wrong. Let me call my son, because you connected with the father, the mother, and the son, the daughter. The children are connected when everything is done right. They don't want you to have that. They want to make it seem like the higher levels of spirituality is hocus pocus, but they try to manipulate it with their wicked selves.
Oh yeah.
But the good part of it is something we need to know. And again, I'm gonna use one more analogy, but shut up. We talk about, many of us, I don't believe in this spirituality stuff. See, but a lot of people fill in the blanks. Like I hear, African spirituality and all this stuff, and they doing the occultic stuff and practices and trying to hide another African spirituality. Most of the folks out here, they doing it from America. I'm gonna talk about it. I've talked about it before. Get away from me with that. Just because you put on an ankh and change your name or wrap up your head, or it's African. What is African spirituality? It's to connect the real thing.
Right.
The real thing now, because we have the frauds who got the altars want to do the hocus pocus on people, right? But the real thing, is what they want to keep us away from.
I get a lot of this is an email or Instagram or Facebook. I get a lot of interactions from the people now from Akiba line calling themselves prophet this and prophet that.
Oh, please. Yeah, I get all of that all the time. Look, they come at me directly. Because they got my number out here, they got my WhatsApp. They Lawrence, I want you to come on your show. I am Prophet so and so, and they send you these clips that play over and over with money coming out this basket that never stops. You ain't gonna fool me with that.
Wow.
And I see the editing. I see where they cut it. Don't even try to fool me with that. I'm not lusting after money anyway. I'm trying to get away from money. I want to live without money.
Yeah.
Right. But what I mean to say is that they tell you, or they want you to think, that the spiritual realm is not real. Right. But if I told you your Wi-Fi is not real, you'll think I'm crazy. Man, Wi-Fi is real, man. But can you see it? You only know that you don't have a connection when it's cut off.
Right.
But the spiritual realm is real. You can't see it.
Oh, no question.
But I do believe that there are those who can get glimpses of it from this level as they not only age, because we got a lot of old fools out here, but they're pure of heart and they're receptive to those spiritual realities and they're obedient, have a pure heart, and certain things are revealed to them. But they're not trying to get money out of you because of it. Well, I can tell you who your man is laying up with. Just give me $99.95 and no, y'all are frauds. Get out of here.
Right.
You see what I mean? But the spiritual realm is real. Yes. Man has taken it upon himself to call certain religions to control people. But the spirit, you don't think so? Look at them animals out there. Them animals are out in the rain, in the cold, with nothing except themselves. and they live in perfect harmony. Now they have to eat, and there's a food chain,
They have
but
to
they're
eat.
all
Yeah.
given a way to protect themselves. Some have
They
claws, some have big teeth, some have nothing. A skunk, all he has is a stink. I
Yeah,
know
but
a lot
have
of
you ever
brothers
seen
like that.
any species eat their own kind?
Nope, nope.
Oh, right. And so that's something that we do, but yet we say we're more advanced than them. But
The
yet,
reason why is because we feel we're more advanced as melanated people. The closer we are to the enemy, the closer we are to the European mindset of not being communal, but to be every man for himself. See,
right.
if they didn't have us to come after, they'd be on each other even more. They still do.
Oh, no question.
But they turn, all of a sudden,
I was just talking to somebody about that the other day. That we're their punching bag.
Right. But look, if you take away the punching bag, they're going to punch at each other.
Exactly.
See,
so that's the same analogy
right?
I use. I said, well, if you don't have a punching bag, what you going to do? Go to the gym, go find. Yeah, but you're used to every time something happens, you got a punching bag right there. You just punch it. You get all your
exactly. Get that stress off. Fine. That's right. Get that stress off. See, so I'm bringing race into this. You have white people, you have different types of race. Let's just say white and black. Let's just make it simple, right? People say, oh, don't use the word black. They're not right, they're pink. I understand that. We're just going to use common talk for the folk who don't understand, right? Black man don't, the white folks that are in the room don't like the black man or woman that's there. So they do little things, right? They try to do little things and sabotage. We'll just keep it innocent right now. Guess what? That black man when leave the room, all of a sudden the white folks are there. I'm Italian, you're Irish. Well, I'm German, I'm better than you. You see what I mean? They're gonna find a way to separate because that's in their nature.
Oh yeah.
They're gonna implode on each other.
That's that caterpillar mentality.
Exactly. So in essence, to stay together amongst themselves, they need us as an enemy.
They do.
Yeah.
But there's something intrinsic inside of them that they know that they see us as their natural enemy.
Of course they do, because they see our propensity for a higher level of spirituality, which most of us do not utilize. Like I say, you know, I love boxing. We have Muhammad Ali, we have Mike Tyson, we have Evander Holyfield, Lennox Lewis. Look, the best fighter that ever lived, we'll never know them. Because he might have been on the street corner drinking a 40 ounce and smoking a blunt, but didn't have it in him to train, or didn't have the mindset to train. You see what I mean? But when they see us, they see the potential. You know? And the potential alone, and it's not just potential, it's the actual power that they don't want us to know about that we have on the inside.
The collective power.
Right. And this is why they know their time is coming. Because it did so much to us, whether we're in a high vibration or low vibration, you're not supposed to do that to anybody. But because perpetually, not even hundreds of years, thousands of years, they know what we have inside of us. So they want to keep us from knowing who we are, so we don't rise on that spiritual level and vibrate in a way where our very thoughts will diminish anybody who has a wicked thought in their mind.
Yeah. That is a fact. And so yeah, brother, I better close. My appointment is contacting me.
Yes. Okay, brother.
But
man, I wish we can talk every day.
Yeah, that would be something, huh?
Wow.
So kudos to you, brother. Keep those belts. Keep going at it.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna attack some work tonight. Right now it's 8:34 West African time, and I'm gonna attack some of the work. I have some short ones I'm gonna do, and I want to speak on that topic I told you about earlier. And I'm gonna be a little more raw. I'm gonna be a little more raw, and make sure it's at the top of the chat room, y'all. Go to landscurvx.com. My website is still landscurv.com, but the new platform, LandscurvX, is interactive. And when you go there, drop your email. Everything I put out on that platform comes directly in your email. You will not miss anything. It's an email thing. It's not just, oh, let me just see if we put something up, and it can't be shadow banned. We're trying to get as many
Landscape
emails.
X, that's the saucy platform?
Yeah, well, yeah, we're gonna talk about
Okay,
everything. And I'm gonna have this show up on there by the night anyway. I'm gonna write a little
okay.
article for what we talked about. So I'm on fire, I feel good, and I'm ready. He calls me the greatest of all times. Neil Frazier. Man, he's got the fighting genes in his blood. Don't you know he's related to Joe Frazier? But I love Joe Frazier now. We're both in heaven. We just saw George Foreman.
But you got that voice. You need to do some shows on people like Tyson and do some
Oh, no,
mimic.
I'll do that. My dear friend who I call Customato, she's
Oh
always telling me to do it. I want to do some comedy things. I'm going to do Paul Mooney, Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali. I got a
yeah,
couple of, because I think I do a good Paul Mooney, but he's a little profane. I'm going to have to throw that in there. But also, too,
yeah.
whether you know it or not, Brother Neil, I watch you all the time. You really undergird me. You help me a whole lot. I listen to you, brother. You don't know it, but Lance is okay, but he's a New Yorker like me, so we already know each other. But brother, you got some wisdom on you. I wouldn't be the Mike Tyson today if I didn't have you. I just want to appreciate that about you.
Oh man, come on. Oh boy. Yeah, you got to do that, man. I'd love to see a show where you're
Do it.
doing that, brother. So kudos to you, Mr. Scurv, brother, and the family. And
Thank you.
looking forward to connecting with you again next week.
Most definitely. Okay, brother.
All right,
You have
brother.
a wonderful night. Okay. Peace. And yes, everyone, I will be back. I didn't show my face because I'm filthy dirty. We're doing work here, and I'm not even representing properly. So I didn't want to show my face. So I was running on time. A couple of things delayed us, and I didn't have enough time to. I'll take care of that. But I'm gonna get into some work, and before the night is over, you'll see some new things up. And I'm just very happy, to be here, and happy to be on a new platform as well. We have the same old platform, and it can't be touched. And I'm happy for your support just to be here. And again, as more of the work gets done, there'll be more and more regular shows, lives, everything. And we're gonna talk about everything. There's nothing I won't talk about. I don't care what it is. Bring it to me and say, hey, talk about this, but don't tell me, oh, I should look, I want to show you all this picture. Hold on, how am I gonna get this thing off? Hold on 1 second. I can't believe this. Let me send this. Okay, wait now. Okay, I know what to do. Give me a second. Let me get on WhatsApp. Maybe I can download it and put it back. I have to show you this picture. We talked about it. I can't believe this. This is the crime in my daddy's belly. So what does your daddy do to have something in his belly? We know, but it don't work like that with them. They're envious of us. They want what we have. And I tell you, there's a lot of them that despise to see a man and a woman, and the man respecting the woman, and the woman righteously submissive to the man. We're not talking about just, lock and key. The woman has her role in the home. The man has his role in the home. He protects the home. He provides for the home. The woman makes a house a home. And she makes a decision. She has power also. So all these modern women who got the twisted, ideology, you can have a career. You can be in the corporate world. But you never forget to be a wife when you are a wife. And if you can't be one, don't get caught up in that and try to bend the rules. It ain't going to work. Why is this thing not downloading? See, that's them demons trying to stop me from showing you the picture. We're going to sit here for a few more minutes. I'm going to make sure my Wi-Fi is, I think my little dish there moved over a little bit. It's a little weird here. What is wrong with this thing? Unbelievable. Well, you know what? I'll show it in the next show, or a little clip, whatever I do, and just put it up there. It's buffering too long. I got a lot of screens open too, so that's probably it. So anyway, let me run. Let me see this last comment that's here. Yes. Oh yeah, thank you, Riri. Thank you so much. Let me see this other name here. I didn't say it because I see all the different dashes. Hey devil, it's level idiot. But welcome to the show. Oshira, Riri, Libby Lou, Renee Green. Let me roll up and see. Tracy J, of course, Giant Game, and Wise Man 9. Thanks for the love and appreciation. It's always appreciated. Fetty, and that's who showed their faces. We have some other people in the chat room, some who may not want to show their face, but you're here. I'm glad you're here. And let's make this happen. I'm going to do some recorded clips later. I'm going back live again tomorrow. I still have some work to do. I got a lot to do tomorrow. But you know what? I'm going to bang out some content. I'm going crazy on it. My mind is on fire. I can't help it. So when I put up a new post, I'm saying like Scarface, say hello to my little friend. Take care, y'all.
Hello, this is Martha. Actually, today I got to meet my friend Lance. Yes, I got to meet my friend Lance. This is my first time meeting him in person, and he's a very kind man, seriously. I do talk with him on phone, on WhatsApp, but I've never got to meet him. But today, he's just extraordinary. He's very, anything you want to know about life, anything you want to know about just him, anything you want to know about life, please. YouTube, Telegram, Instagram, Twitter, all the social media channels, you got to find him there. He's very inspiring. He's very positive. If you want anything positive about life, please subscribe to Landscape. And then every day you got to see different videos, different talks, different topics about life. See you.